Hey. Ooh, it's been a while. Okay, so if you didn't understand that intro, don't worry. The point of today's video is to teach you how to use Smart Animate and to use Figma. If you did understand, well, welcome to all the 19-year-olds, and if you want to learn how to animate or use design software, just stick around and maybe you'll learn something new. I've had quite a busy few weeks at work, and I'm just gonna do something a little bit more lighthearted today. So today we're gonna be working on a Smart Animate intro for an app that I designed that doesn't exist, but if any of you want to help me work on it, we can do it. So currently there's this meme going around where Pewdiepie, who's the biggest individual creator on YouTube, is about to, or is on track to be surpassed by this smaller kids channel called Cocomelon. As part of a meme, everyone or a bunch of people have been creating these really fun intros, and I thought as a product designer, my spin on it would be to make it the splash screen or the intro screen to an app. So if you want to make it a reality, someone hit me up and we can make this thing real. Okay, but now that we're done with that, let me explain to you how to use Smart Animate. As you can see here, today we'll be designing a YouTuber app. Mainly, I just want to show you guys how to use Smart Animate, and I thought this fun little intro could be a way to get the point across. So we're gonna stick to 3 basics of Smart Animate, and those are displacement, rotation, and controls. So the first 2 are applicable to any sort of animation software, and then the third one is a bit more specific to Figma. So let's get into what displacement is and how it works. Okay, so when you're working with Smart Animate, you got to make sure everything is given the same name. So to get a shape moving from point A to point B, you have to make 2 frames. One of the frames has your object in like this position, and then the next frame will have your object in this position. And because you've moved it between frames, Smart Animate will register that the object has moved, and it'll be a smooth transition across the page. So as you can see here, I have this red circle just called circle in frame 1, and then a red circle called circle in frame 2. Now, when you apply Smart Animate to both of them, it should move as you'd expect. So as you can see here, I've already set up the an example of it moving. So as you can see, now it's moving to the right side. Let's say that again. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna use in this specific tutorial is rotation. So I'm gonna explain the basics of rotation. So again, you have to make sure your objects are named the same in both frames. So as you can see here, the red circle here is called red, the blue circle is called blue, and then in the other frame, it's also called red and blue again. And I've grouped these objects into one single object called object. So if you can imagine, it's red and blue, and then an object around it. So how rotation works is that you set your rotation in the first frame. By default, it's going to be 0 because there is no rotation. In the second frame, you set the next rotation, which in my case, I've set it to -179. Now, this is important because if you want to do a full 180-degree rotation, you can't control whether it goes this way or whether it goes this way. So Figma will always find the shortest path to get to the next position. And an easy way to control that is to make sure that you're not going past 180 degrees. So if you want to set your rotation to 360, you can't actually do that because it'll go from the 0 point back to the 0 point because 360 is 0. So what you have to do is make a 179-degree rotation, and then you make another 179-degree rotation, and then you've got your full 360. You'll see me walk through this within the tutorial. Okay, delay. So an example of what this looks like is that. So negative goes clockwise, and then if I had set it to positive 179, it would have gone counterclockwise. Okay, so the next thing is controls. Now these controls are specific to Figma. You'll find similar versions of this in other prototyping apps such as Framer, for example. But we're gonna stick to Figma because that's what we're working with. So in the top we have on-click. So you can set your interactions to either, it can be an on-click interaction or a drag or a hover, or in our case, we're gonna use after delay because we want things to run one after the other without having to go in and tap each time. And then the animation setting that we set is Smart Animate. Now, Smart Animate is the one that lets you put objects in different frames, and then they'll move and adjust based on its positioning in frame 1 and the positioning in frame 2. There are other animations that are less dynamic. You can do a push, you can do a slide in, but if we want to make an animated intro, Smart Animate is the easiest way to do things. And then here you can set your animation or movement style. I set it to linear because I'm going to show you later, a loading, and you don't want there to be any easing because then it'll be jumpy like this. But yeah, so that's the intro. Let's get into designing. And I shot that like a week ago, so I'm gonna be wearing a different shirt. Don't worry, it's in the past. So as you can see, I've already set up my file. So I spent some time working on different variations of the face design. I tried taking these illustrations from the subreddit. So I don't remember the name of whoever I took this from, but thank you for providing your inspiration. And here I've already set a few components. So we have Sive, we have eyes, we have cards because we have video cards as well. Now I'll complete this. Right now it's only set to videos, but we can also show merch or show off some subreddit questions or entries. And yeah, we have our logos, we have descriptions. And then I tried playing around with the loading, and this is how I figured it out. And after I figured it out, I put it into the actual frame. So we're gonna start from here, and I'll kill this. I'll get rid of that connection. Oh yeah, and in true Pewdiepie fashion, my camera is set to very low resolution, so this is what we're working with today. So we have the face. What I want to do is we want to make Sive rotate. Now, as you can see here, I've designed it so that Sive is part of a frame. And our first scene will be just this, nothing special about it. Perhaps we can start a step back. So if I want to make a scene before this, I'll copy this. So if you hold Alt, you can drag a copy of the frame. And then I want to expand this. So we start off actually by having his face in the frame. So it's just his face. And we'll design it so that it looks like he's sleeping. Now, if you've used, if you're in this file, which I'll share later, you can go in and change the eyes. So I have these just normal eyes, and then I have these basically sleeping eyes. And so we'll start with sleeping eyes, and then we'll connect these two frames and set the animation to Smart Animate. And the time is set to 500, which is 500 milliseconds, which is fine. So yeah, as soon as the user goes in, or as soon as you go into the app, and then we set the interaction to a delay, and we'll set that to 1 millisecond. So as soon as you open the app, it transitions into this version of Pewdiepie, which has the logo, the pattern around the outside. And then, so we have our first frame and then we have our second frame. Now this blue box decides where the prototype starts from. So we want to start from this one where it's outside and then we'll move in. So we have that. Actually, I want to make everything a bit bigger as well. The way to do that is you switch these, so I've selected all, and then I'm going to switch all the constraints to scale. And then let's just make this a bit bigger. Now, as we can see, the eyes mess up a bit, which I guess is fine. What we can do there is just bring the size back and center it, because we don't really need the eyes to grow. It looks kind of weird, but it'll work. Okay. So from here, we need to design the loading. So I already have my Sive up here. We'll bring him in. And we'll make him rotate. So what we want to do is have him fly in from the side first. So I have him here, I'll copy him and I'll put him into the scene or the frame beforehand. And now that he's in the frame beforehand, we can, is he centered? Why is he off center? Okay, now that he's in the frame beforehand, we can push this back a bit. And since he's out of frame, when he flies into frame, it will, it'll be as though he's, so in the next shot, it'll be as though he's flying in from outside the frame, Okay, so now he's in the middle and now we gotta make him rotate. So this is his starting position. We'll set him to -179 in the second position. Now, as you can see, he's upside down, which we don't want. The way to get him right side up is to go in and select Sive and turn his rotation to 0. So let me explain the anatomy of this object right now. So we've put Sive in a frame. Now, the way to do that is, let me just take Sive out of the frame. Okay, there we have him outside of the frame. To put him in a frame, you can click A on your keyboard and then you draw a frame around Sive. Now, right now the frame is clipped, so we're gonna unclip so that he doesn't get cut. And we're gonna keep the background there just so that you can see what it looks like. Now, when you rotate the frame, everything inside the frame also rotates. To unrotate whatever's on the inside, you just set the rotation to 0 and it'll be right side up. So yeah, that's basically the concept that we're using to rotate Sive without actually rotating Sive. So there we have him partially rotated. Now the next frame, we have to imagine he's there, but on the 2 degrees more to the other side. Now, how to do that is you create another frame and then we'll change this to be at 179, positive 179. So it's on the opposite side of the axis. And now this Sive will, we can just duplicate the original Pewdiepie frame and it should rotate its way back to the top here. Now what I want to do is I want to change the eyes as well. So the reason we can use this instance to change the eyes is because I have the symbol set up. If you want to understand how all this works, I'll link a video where I go through setting up the whole symbol library as well. But yeah, so we changed the eyes there. And then let's recreate this. So I want him to do 2 rotations. So right now he's already done 1. This is going to be the second one. Which one? This one. Right now we're building out the second rotation. And we'll bring him back to the center. And then from the center, we can make sure he lands on the forehead as he should always. Okay, now, right now I'm using Felix or Pewdiepie's face as a frame. What we want to do is get the loading part outside of the frame so it's not stuck to the confines of this face. So be careful of your layers. Make sure it's outside. Okay. And we want to make it look like he's happy, so we'll change the eyes to eyes 2, which is basically the happy eyes. And now after this, we want to bring in the letters, so the Pewdiepie letters. So I already have the letters set out here. Logo, where is it? Okay. And we're gonna start by moving this into where we want it to be. And then we can work backwards. The reason I'd rather work backwards is so that it's easier to remember where all the components are, and then it's easier to move from in frame to out of frame than from out of frame to in frame. So remember, we have to make it appear, we have to make every layer appear as though they're coming from underneath, and to do that we need to bring them out of frame first, and yeah, it's just easier that way. So right now this is currently a component, and when something's a component, you can actually break things and move the arrangement of the objects inside. So what we have to do is break the component. Or in this case, it's called an instance, so you break the instance. So here, you can right click and then you detach instance. And now you should be able to manipulate everything one by one. What I'm going to do though is I'm going to remove the frame that's here as well. The reason you want to remove the frame is just it makes it easier to move things around again. Because then it's not all attached to itself. You have more freedom to move things around. Okay, so to break the frame, I'm gonna press Command-Shift-G. What you can also do is right-click and then ungroup, and it should break the frame. So let's move. So the last letter to come up will have been the E, so we'll move that back. So it's out of view, okay. Now I want to do like some sort of small bounce, or an appearance of a bounce. So I'm going to bounce the eye by pushing it up a bit. Did the eye move up? No, it did not. Okay, there. The eyes moved up. Now in the next frame, we'll bring the eye down and then we'll move the P up. So let's get this out of frame. I'm holding Shift down because it'll jump more that way. Okay, now let's get this P out of frame. So holding shift and moving an object makes it jump basically. So it'll jump a few steps instead of 1 pixel at a time. Right now I have it set to 8 pixels at a time. So it just makes it easier to move things out. Okay, now let's make another one of this, and we move the eye out of the way. Now, as you can see on the side, I've given each one a unique label. The reason for that is because this decides which object replaces the other object in the next frame. So you've got to be aware of what you're naming your layers. So make sure everything's unique, otherwise it's not going to work. Okay, a bit more and we'll be done. So this is just the Smart Animate portion of this video. If you're here to learn my process to designing the content of a YouTuber app, then you can just skip forward and you can see that part of the video. I'm gonna give the first ones a bit more bounce, so I push this up a bit more. And the P will have the biggest bounce of all of them. Okay. So we have made it all the way back to the start. Now what we can do is we can make him blink a few times. So let's add in some of his normal eyes. Maybe we do it to this one as well. Okay, so we have the Pewdiepie part set up. What we're gonna have to do is connect everything one by one using the prototyping functions. So let's start by attaching the loading part, the part with Sive moving around. Let's just move this out of the way. I'm gonna push this down so it's easier to manage. Okay, so to go from here to the next frame, we're gonna have to use Smart Animate, which is already set. We already did that. The ease, we're gonna do an ease in so that it's a bit more natural the way it moves in. Sive flying in though, we want it to ease in, but on the outside it'll be it should behave linearly, and that'll help the transition from him flying into starting to rotate feel a bit more smooth. So let's connect these two now. Now we want to make sure that we set it to after delay, because then it'll run automatically. And you can't set it to 0 delay, you have to set some sort of time. So 1 millisecond is the shortest amount of time. I noticed that it doesn't leave that much of a weird gap, so it's fine to use. Yep, so we want to set everything to after delay and 1 millisecond. So I'm just gonna go through that. Okay, something that I just realized is that between these two screens, there should be no Smart Animate. It should just be an instant snap, and then it switches to the next frame. So I gotta go back and fix the other one, but this one I've left gap for now. The reason we need an instant snap is because these two frames are supposed to be the exact same frame. I mean, at least that's the way we want to depict it because you're basically not moving at all. So you want it to transition properly and feel natural. By not having transition, it should just be the same frame. This is just because of the limitation of the rotations. Okay, and I gotta go back and fix this one. So I set this one to instant as well. Actually, after delay is fine. This Smart Animate is what we have to change. Okay, instant. Okay, we set up all the loading. I'm gonna do the same thing to this one. So we're gonna set it to, we're gonna keep Smart Animate here because he's flying out, or he should be flying out, and we'll set it to ease out because we want it to feel a bit smooth, I guess. Or maybe we can set to ease in and ease out. And then just for illustration purposes, we're gonna connect these two and see what it looks like. Does this have? I'm doing Command Option B to break the component, and then Command Shift G to break the group. This is going to come in handy later. So, okay, now let's test out this prototype. Great. To run the prototype, click prototype, and click play in the top right. If you want to set what the device is, you can click prototype and then choose what device you want to do. So right now I've designed it for an iPhone X or an iPhone 10 or an iPhone 10. iPhone 11 Pro also has the same dimension, so we can go with that. And then, you know, it doesn't really matter which one you decide to use, but we'll do space gray. It doesn't really make a difference. So yeah, let's run it. Okay, so if you have something already loaded, you might have to go in and close that and then load it up again. If you're loading prototypes between two different pages or two different sheets in your work page, then it won't work properly. Look at that. So this is actually the first time I'm seeing this run. The intro was shot at the end after I designed everything with you guys. So yeah, that worked out pretty well. Okay, so the last one needed a bit of our help. Let's go in and see what the issue was. I think I didn't set it to after delay, so let's check on that. Yep, it's set to on tap, and Sive didn't move as expected, so let's see what went on there. So this is called loading, but it's part of his face. Ah, okay. That's gonna be a problem. Okay, so we're gonna have to move all of the side faces outside of Pewdiepie's face so that the final animation works. Otherwise, it's not going to. So I thought it wasn't gonna be an issue. I was wrong. It is an issue. We gotta fix it. So when you're creating prototypes in Figma, this is kind of something that you have to do. So absolutely, okay. Let's see what it looks like. Ooh, that's weird. Oh no. Okay, so the eyes at the beginning are really, really weird. To fix that, I think what we can do is change the layer name of this to be the same. So we're gonna change this to eyes 1 Even though they're not the actual same component, they'll maintain the same positioning because they have the same name. So let's see if that fixed the issue. I mean, it did a weird rotation. Let's see. Nope, we don't want that either. So let's go back in and fix that. The reason that's happening is because I actually created the eyes from the closed eyes from the open eyes, and I was too lazy to change the names. So I rotated it and then I didn't change the name. So we'll just give this left closed. We'll call this one right closed. Okay, now let's see what it looks like. Up. Not bad. Okay, so that should move in from the bottom. I don't know why it didn't. Let's see what the issue is. Oh, this must be because inside the it's inside the face, whereas the other one is outside. Let's fix that. Okay. Okay, so I noticed that there was an issue. So I played the prototype on my phone. If we play the prototype again, it might take some time to load up. Look at Sive. The reason it's so slow to run on this phone is because it's quite a cheap phone, and to run Figma prototypes in like its full form, you kind of do need a high-powered phone. But as you can see, Sive was spinning around backwards. That's because I didn't fix the angles on his avatar. So let's go in and fix that. Okay, so look here. This one's fine, 0, okay. This one is the issue. It's set to -2. So we gotta go in and change that to 0. And we'll change this one as well. So this is also set to -2. So let's see if that fixes it. Okay. Let me see. Come on. Why is he still spinning? Okay, so one of them is fine. Let me go in and see what went wrong. Oh, this is still -2. My bad. Okay. So it should be good to go. Now we want to connect the Pewdiepie writing as well. So let's go ahead and give it the same treatment as we did the other screens before it. So we go into prototyping, you connect every single layer. One by one. You guys see this? Is it? Maybe I have to zoom in. We are going to connect every single one of these screens. So Pewdiepie, how many letters is that? I have no idea. I'm bad at math. But it's a lot. So ease in. We want this to be a bit faster just because it's so many at once. So let's set it to 100. And it should run on after delay of 1. So I think I'll connect all of the screens first, and then we'll change the delay settings after this. Okay. Okay, is it better to be ease in or is it better to be linear? So ease in makes it go like, so that it goes in slowly and then speeds up and then it slows down afterwards. So it's like this. Right. And it slows down towards the end. I don't know. We'll try linear. If it doesn't work, I guess I'll just go in and change everything one by one again. I need a bit more space to work on this, so I'm gonna select everything just to make it easier to connect all the pieces, and then I'll click tidy up so that we get some more space. And I just want to expand this to, I guess 80 pixels is a nice space to drag the prototyping arrows in. Okay, so we drag, check 100, okay. So something that I realized is that all these letters are actually a part of the face layer. So we're gonna change that and take all of these and put them back into the face layer. There we go. And I'm gonna change this so that this connects now to our face layer over here. So this should be instant. And we'll do after a delay. Actually, we'll do after a delay. So 1 millisecond. This one should also be after 1 millisecond delay. Okay, now all of these need to be 1 millisecond delays, so I'm gonna go in and give everything a delay. I have a monitor up here and my laptop down here. That's why I keep looking up and down. Okay, we connected everything. Now let's run it and see how it goes. So we'll run the prototype again. We'll go from the start. Ooh. Oh, look at that. We did it. It actually turned out a lot better than I expected. Now the next thing is that we're gonna need this to swipe away into the actual app. So we'll consider this the splash screen, and then the actual app will be for videos, for purchasing merch, for using the subreddit or browsing the subreddit. So let's go into that. Okay. So I already did a quick design of what the actual inside of the app might look like. Let's bring this onto the right side and we can connect these two. Now, what I want to do is I want this face to swipe away, and the background I've already used, so it's the same background, so it should they should connect in that sense. So all we have to do is move this in to this frame and then make it slide out of the way. What's fun to do as well is if you want to have a bit of a parallax effect, so the background moves faster than the foreground, we can change the positioning of the item so that they scroll at a different pace. So I've already set that up now. Let's connect it. set it to Smart Animate, and we'll do we'll give it a bit of a delay, like 200 milliseconds. And this should be ease out, and we don't want it to be too fast, so we'll do 300 milliseconds. Okay. Let's let it play again. Ooh. Oh, this looks so good, don't you think? Not bad, not bad. So, as you can see, I made quite a few minor changes to what I finished with last week. The order of the animation is a bit different. It's also a bit longer. I have this nice pop-up to get you to subscribe and unsubscribe. But basically, that's the tutorial. Thank you for joining me. If you want to see more, hit like, hit subscribe. Let me know what you thought. Let me know what you'd like to learn next. We're at 28 subscribers right now. That's basically a class. So, you know, this is your chance to have a private class with me, and I can teach you some cool design tricks. So thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Hopefully not 3 weeks or however long it's been. Okay, see you guys.